Hey, we're back with you, the Jesse T Show. Okay, a lot of bugs working out here, but I think I got this bug worked out. We're trying to get on the air tonight at 7 o'clock. It didn't work out. Crazy. There's a concept called snafu, and many of you might not know what that concept is. It's an acronym for something that came out of World War II called situation normal, all fouled up. Of course, they used a different word on the F. Just another snafu on another day. So as we work these things out, well, my phone display just ended, stopped, went dark. So it's time for a new phone. So consequently, our guests, David Shark Fralick and Terry the Truth Teller, have been a hard time getting in contact with me. I did send them an invite by way of email, but perhaps they didn't get that. But that's sort of the way it happens. The show must go on. And so I thought, well, it'll give me an opportunity here to talk to you about what's going on here at the Jesse T Show and to answer the question of who really is our enemy? Who really is our enemy? Because I really believe that we have an enemy here in the world that is something that's not being talked about at all. Nobody's talking about it, and I know why, because they're afraid to talk about it. But they are a clear, distinct enemy, just like Germany was, and Italy was, and Japan and the Soviet Union were, and still are, were for the other three. Clear, distinct enemies of the American way. Reminds me of the original Superman, the black and white Supermans of the 1950 TV series. You look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's it's Superman. And they talked about the flag flying in the American way to protect all of us. Well, that's sort of what is at large right now, is our ability to live on God's blue green earth in a peaceful, harmonious way, because we have an enemy. In fact, we have a couple of them. But this gives me a moment to talk about the Jesse T Show and what's going to be happening here and what's coming up here. Um, and that is, and that is, we are now going to be bridging over to our new network called USA Talk Network. And we're so excited about that. We worked out the idea of what we're going to do with the show, and it's growing. It's going to be a little bit different of a Jesse T show. We're still going to bring the best of the stuff, interviews and this kind of stuff, and political intrigue, and we're going to bring, of course, the Jesse T straight on the point. And the world according to Torero, what can I tell you? Can't help but being me. But we're also going to be doing some new and cool things, production wise, graphically, musically. And one of the things that we're negotiating and talking about is being able to break new artists, new recording artists. That's one of the things, in a super functional, quick and fit way and fun way. Another thing, what we're trying to do with the show is to teach people how to become wealthy. That's one of the things that we're going to do, uh, and have classes in real estate and gold and silver, and how to invest and day trading and all that stuff. We really think that that's what the public needs. And we're going to also have a series called American Heritage. And American Heritage is going to be a revisiting of what made America today, what's made us great, and what really has provided us the opportunity to live like we live, and the price that has been paid by our heroes. So that I'm looking forward to, because that is what I think is lost today with regard to so many people. They just don't know how great this country is. They've lost track. They haven't been taught. And I think that's part of the problem that's happening in the streets. But nevertheless, we're going to be covering some things and other exciting ideas on the Jesse T Show here coming up as we move to our new network, USA Talk Network, which we're not quite ready to debut yet. So we're kind of playing around here and working some of the bugs out. Boy, I'll tell you. So tonight we were supposed to have David the Shark Fralick on and Terry the Truth Teller, but my phone went completely dead, and the display, I can't talk to them. I can't reach out to them. It's been ringing, but I can't even find the button to answer the call. And so I've got to get a new phone tomorrow, that's for sure. But we were going to talk about a couple of things here. But this gives me the time to kind of tell you how appreciative I've been over the years. We were 12 million strong a couple of years ago, and 125,000 brand new strong every month on Facebook, and really appreciate that patronage, or tutelage, that interest in me, Jesse T, and what we were trying to do. We are going to carry over a show called Roundup Wound Up. That's going to be one of the, because that was a very popular show on our last network, and another show called Straight on the Point. That's going to be our economic show, as I spoke to you about, which is going to, of course, talk about real estate. And real estate in the next couple of years, folks, you guys can make your bones, as they say, and become very wealthy if you're smart. And I'm going to teach you how to do that, because, I've had a career in 40 years in real estate and loans here in Southern California, but nevertheless. So I just wanted to thank you for hanging out with us. We were off the air for a couple of years now because I got deathly sick in 2019, and I just was fighting for my life all year. And in 2020, of course, the Chinese weapon hit America, and that shut us down pretty much. We did a few interviews, but it wasn't super exciting. We kind of just made our way through the mud. But now that this seems to be subsiding a little bit, maybe the entertainment business is opening up. So we're going to bring you some of that stuff too, as well. We have an enemy in this world. We've got a couple of enemies. And I'm just going to keep it simple, KISS. Keep it simple, silly. I've been doing history research for about a year now, specifically on the Chinese, for several reasons. One, most importantly, I wanted to know, what are they really all about? Because the little blurbs that we get from the news, that's not even the scratch of the surface. It's not even the truth. It's what they release. China is our enemy. China is the enemy of the world. Just like Hitler, just like Japan, just like Russia, and the evil empire that Reagan spoke so eloquently about. Just like Venezuela, they are North Korea, Iran. They are the supreme power of the enemy of the world. They are completely on the other spectrum of their ideology and what they believe is right. For 12,000 years, I took my research back to 12,000 BCE and brought it all the way forward They have warred and warred and warred and killed and killed and killed and murdered and raped and tortured and incarcerated 520 million. Let me repeat that number. 520 million of their own people. And never have had the opportunity to get out of China. They've always wanted to, but they never had that opportunity. In 1972, 520 million. You can look it up, put the numbers, they're correct. In 1972, when Nixon went over there, it was about opening up China to the world in a different way than fighting and wars. Remember, this was after Korea and this was after Vietnam. And Mao, the Mao emperor and his dynasty, that the current emperor of China, Xi Jinping, is, he was a genius. He saw something on how he could possibly control the planet by the greed of corporations and bankers, and America allowing that to happen if he played his games right, and he did. After that meeting, so many corporations started moving over to China because he offered one thing that the bankers and the corporations needed desperately, and that is cheap slave labor. Torturous slave labor. The Chinese have perfected the art of human torture. Now, that gave the corporations the ability to make their products under government control at a much less expense, and even with the expense of shipping them back over by jet and or of course boat or ship, they still made a hell of a profit because they cut their overhead down. They didn't have to pay insurance, workman's comp, they didn't have to pay pensions, they didn't have so many things. And their greedy, frothing mouths and the bankers behind them that owned them, and the insurance companies that owned the bankers, and the government getting a piece of the action from Nixon on, it was a brew that changed the world. Corporations, banking, insurance, and our government sold you out. From 1972, they sold you out. And in 2020, in 2016, there's a guy by the name of Donald Trump who came along the way, and he said, no, that has to stop. And he stopped it. At least put a little dent and a plug in it. Even Reagan sold out America to China. And I'm a Reaganite. And they would do anything they could to transform America through the media to agree with their situation and what they were doing by providing cheap prices on vehicles and washing machines and everything. And one after another, major corporations of the world just went into the toilet because the ones that didn't go to China went out of business, couldn't compete. America's greed, the baby boom generation's greed, my generation, which I believe historically is going to go down as the generation that killed America, the worst generation historically in the United States of America. Our greed provided us with the excuse that, oh, it's okay, but it's caught up with us. And it took a guy like Donald Trump, like him or not, to put the foot down to the enemy. See, the enemy was allowed to also join the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank. We shouldn't have did that. The enemy was also allowed to expand. Shouldn't have did that. And it all happened because that was a deal that was made. I've got the backup and the proof and the sightings for this. But they don't want you to know about that, you see, because that is anti to their ability to make money. They don't care about your jobs. But now they do. Because Donald Trump said, that's it. Tariffs, you go over there, sure, make what you want. I'm going to slap you with a 30% tariff when you come home. That's why the treaty between Canada, Mexico, and America, when they blew out the NAFTA and stopped the TARP and did this new treaty, was really the godsend, because it forces manufacturers to come back to this hemisphere. And it is. To the point that it was a $22 trillion economy. Amazing, huh? China is our enemy. They never have been able to expand into the world to take it over like they took over their country in their part of the planet. And how comes America, maybe all but 300 years old, and we take over the world? Because it's really simple. Judeo-Christian ideology and liberty and freedom, the Constitution. They don't have that. And so what we have here is we have a dichotomy, a difference. You have the evil empire, and they are evil, that want to take over the planet. They can't. They're beefing up their military. They're going to double the size of their nuclear military. And just last week, we got word that they got about 50 more Navy ships than we have. But all the stuff that they get, they steal, rob, cheat, take, spy. That's how these people have always worked. You say, well, that's so bad. No, this is how they've worked from time immemorial. Believe me. Read The Art of War, published in 541 BC. Read it, though. Read it with that ideology. It's the master plan of what they're doing. So we have an enemy that wants to destroy us, and they can't kill us because there'll be too much bloodshed, and they want the natural resources, and they can't out-military, they can't out-space us, they can't out-educate us, they can't out-think us, they can't outsmart us, they can't do anything like we can. We're the great melting pot of the world. We by that melting pot, the concept, oh man, all that wonderful DNA mixed up and created the smartest, strongest, bravest, courageous people the planet's ever seen in the history of mankind. But they don't have that. 75% of China is Han dynasty, Han lineage, one family line. I'm sorry, 80%. Yeah. So what do? Try to hear us economically? They can't. What do? Create a weapon to kill us, scare us, and frighten us. Release it into Europe first and Italy so it spreads to America. Well, they got a problem too. If you think this is all over with, it's not. They got a bubonic plague outbreak in northeastern China now you don't hear anything about. But it's running rampant. Bubonic plague. They got H1N1S2 in China. That's swine flu too. You don't hear much about it. In the Hunan district, they're shutting down the Hunan district, which is right near the Wuhan district. They're using this. Remember, they killed 520 million of their own people. They don't care about human life the way you do. I'm telling you, historically, it's just proven in black and white. But they figured out a way in 1972. And we've shut them down in 2016. They want to rule the planet. We won't let them. Because America will never fall. America will destroy itself and the world before it falls. Understand that. People don't make war, government does. And America will survive. China doesn't care. So we have another enemy, and that's the global elitists. You want to call it conspiracy, whatever. There's an Asian global elitist called the Lai family, L-I, or Lee, and then there's the Western global elitists, which of course are headed by the Rothschilds, the Catholic Church, the Rockefellers, etc. And they're constantly out fighting. They're like moving chess pieces here and there and everywhere because they want power. Well, I would rather have power under the American concept than power under the Chinese concept, wouldn't you? You have to ask yourself that question. Are you ready to watch your family be tortured and killed, and 8 generations of your family going sideways, up and down, being destroyed off the face of the planet Earth? They do that. That was an edict by an emperor about 1,000 years ago. It was called the 8-generation kill. If you did something against the emperor or the state, it would kill you, everybody going this way in your family, everybody this way, and everybody this way. And don't you think they still do that? So we have a couple of things there. Be careful what side you land on. And I am concerned about these sissies and these pussies that are out there destroying our cities under the demon control of the Communist Party known as the DNC, which have sold out their soul and their pocketbook to China and the banks and the corporations. Come on, bend over Biden is one of them. You know that. I don't have to tell you his son and him. I'm afraid that these people won't stand up and fight for this country. And that's part of the Marxist, the Maoist concept, is to get the people of a nation to fight within themselves. And it's easy to pit black and white in this country, our weakest racial differences, and then control them at the street level and then attack them. Oh, gosh darn it. Isn't that what they did? China's Navy, China's military is being rapidly increased tremendously. We have to rapidly increase our. Thank God we have Space Command. Seriously, you might laugh, but I'm telling you. Really simple, isn't it? You either want America to stay America, or you want the world to turn into the evil Marxist, Maoist, communist planet. What do you want? It's up to you. So I was digging around a little bit here, and I've been studying the fighting arts for a long time, but I thought this was kind of cool. I was fascinated with Chinese fighting arts, and Wing Chun is what I liked. And more importantly though, my Sifu Gary Lam, he did these charts. This is 20 years ago, 30 years ago. He did these charts, and he put them up in his backyard. And this is all the things we learned. Isn't that cool? In Chinese and here and what it means. Very cool stuff. That's just level 1. And all these caricatures mean something. That's a Ma Jam dummy. And then when he felt you were ready for that, you got the chance to go to level 2. I got these. He was throwing them away in the trash can like 30 years ago. And I said, Sifu, can I have these? That's level 2. Now that's all the internal power stuff. Breaking power points, controlling the center line, push-pull hands, that's Popeye. Pun Sao, all that stuff. And then you graduated when he said you're ready. This took about 10 years to do. You graduate to level 3. Level 3. Where you coach and you train. And level 3 and 4 were actually kind of a combination, natural fighting. High level fighting is almost just, this is almost just like street fighting. And also in his system, we learned on how to address takedowns. They don't teach that anymore. This was before BJJ got really popular. So in every fighting system, you have to advance. I think today you have to have striking. You have to have controlling the power of the opponent, soft versus hard. You have to be able to kick. You have to understand strategy and tactics. You have to understand some wrestling and some BJJ, elbow locks, leg locks, triangles, choke outs, these kinds of things. You have to understand all these things to be an effective combat person, not just any one thing. That's the problem. Everybody thinks their thing is the only thing. It is not. The bottom line in any situation is to win enough to get the hell out of there. So you got to combine all these things and create a modern fighting system for yourself. That's really the key. And stay in good shape. I just thought that was cool. All right, well, that's it. The Jesse T Show going to be coming out on USA Talk Network. The old business card we had there. Remember that? And we're going to be, we're going to be amping up this one here as part of the USA Talk Network Coalition Against Human Trafficking. As you know, I've been fighting human trafficking about 10 years now. I've laid low for the last couple of years, but we're going to start hopefully being able to raise some money through Project Tapestry, a nonprofit, and be able to start helping bust this situation down even more. Okay, guys. Hey, have a good one. My guys didn't check in, so my snafu, situation normal, all fouled up. The Jesse T Show. Loving you, baby. See ya.